Okay, welcome back to the show here. It's me, Hugh Sanders here, and we've got Keith Tarswell from Bosley Real Estate joining us.
Hey,
and
Keith.
We just found out we know all these people in common.
We do. From a past life of yours.
I was just going to say that Peter Succo, when he opened an office in Welland, I went and joined them as an agent, and I left there to come to Toronto to do all this.
Make your fortune where the streets are paved with gold.
Exactly.
That's right.
I haven't found that street yet, but I know it's around.
Well, if you in real estate haven't found it, none of us is going to find it.
I figure Google Maps will be able to get it for me.
No, they're keeping for themselves.
Yeah,
they're hiding that street.
They blocked that out because everybody would just go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've heard. Well, we've heard Toronto real estate is
booming.
It's a golden market, right? And it's still going pretty good, despite people saying that. Oops.
It's still a demand market.
Yeah.
But we experienced realtors say the market's between your ears. In other words, you make your own market as a salesperson.
Okay.
However, for the public, the market is good. Values have gone up. It's a good long-term investment.
So you're talking from a selling perspective, not a buying perspective.
From a buying perspective, it's never a bad time to get into the market because real estate's a long-term investment. It's not a commodity, and I think the media and with a lot of people buying condos before they're built and then selling them just before they close, they are starting to treat it as a little bit as a commodity.
Well, remember the old days when people would buy a house to live in?
Yeah. I was at a new condo development that was over on Queen Street West, the brokers' invitational event. And we looked at the plans, and one of the people I was with turned and said, these weren't made to live in, they're just tiny. But that's the exception, it's not particularly the rule.
Wow.
Well, okay. So the condo, I've been in some of these condos, and actually, if we look out the window, we can see lots of them around here.
Cranes everywhere.
And some of those units are pretty small that I've been in.
Yes.
And, like bedrooms that are too small to fit a bed in.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Wow.
And it's just makes you wonder,
how people are doing it.
Yeah.
How are people doing that?
Well, it's a way to get into the market. People, first-time buyers, are pretty much because of the average price in Toronto. I don't mean the GTA, I mean Toronto. The average price has gone up for a house, a single-family house, that people can't. First-time buyers, late 20s, early 30s, they haven't got, unless they go to Bank of Mom, they haven't got the wherewithal to put a down payment.
Yeah. What is the average?
Okay,
so that was my question. What is the average price for a home in Toronto? 500 to 600?
Between that, depending on the area.
But doesn't that include the condo market? Or
no, the condo market, you can get into a good one-bedroom apartment condominium for $330, $370, depending on the location.
Okay.
The view, the floor.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, that's insane to me. That's just insane.
It's all about affordability.
That much. That's not affordable. That's the whole point.
Well, we're in a pretty good interest rate environment right now.
That also plays into it.
Yeah. So
when you consider that the cost per thousand on a mortgage is very, very, very low.
Okay.
A little over almost $4 per thousand. So.
Are you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, because I was reading up on your website today, Keith, and I know you've been in the business since. Should I say since when?
Sure.
Okay, since 1980, which
I
was.
started in grade 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You were just. I
remember when 1980 was in the future.
That's right. We were all going. Yeah. All the push button future.
But I mean, you've been in the business for a while, and how have things, in general, changed, in the real estate business?
Well, do you remember what carbon paper is?
Yeah.
Yes.
And typewriters?
Yes.
And typewriters.
I know carbon copy.
I remember our first photocopier. So when I started, all of the offers were printed on, and we had 6 layers of carbon paper.
Oh my God.
So
you had to write really hard to get through to the very last page.
Have a really strong typewriter.
But once you got to that stage, a deal was pretty close, right? You didn't mind doing that work at that stage,
but
right?
then at that time, remember, Hugh, it was a step up from a chisel.
Yeah.
So that was really the new age, right? At that point, that was considered really, wow, we're really snazzy. We've got the carbon paper now.
And our listings were delivered on paper every morning actually every night, and every morning we'd open them up and we'd look at them. And now, of course, some agent in my office or in our company brings in a listing. It gets what we call broker loaded. It gets put into the system, and with the stroke of a key, every realtor that's a member of the Toronto Real Estate Board has access to it.
Wow.
Instantaneously.
Wow. Wow.
And when that listing goes on the system, if a certain buyer's agent has subscribed to a service that will send out listings that match his needs, so that person will get an email saying new listing fits your needs. So the market is moving a lot faster, even though it's a very busy market. The mechanics and technology have made it much faster. And when I started, we had the information, and we kept it, and people came to us for the information. Now it's a question of everyone has the information, pretty much, and the public come to us to interpret the information.
So I have access to that. Is that what you're saying? I have access to that information?
For the most part.
I don't have to be a real estate
Well, you could
agent?
go online and look at almost any listing you wanted to look at, right?
CREA,
Which you
the
couldn't
Canadian
do in
Real
the
Estate
old
Association, has a website called realtor.ca.
Okay.
And on realtor.ca, it's an advertising site, but you can get a lot of information from different listings. If you are working with a real estate agent and you've engaged one as your representative, as a buyer, that agent can send you about 90% of the information that's available to the real estate agent. He can just send you the listing. What's not shown is some private details belonging to the seller, the mortgage amount, and some information perhaps about showings and so on.
But that stuff is not really relevant at that stage.
No, it's not relevant at that stage in the purchase process.
Okay.
So let's talk about Toronto for a minute, because people are kind of raising the specter of there being perhaps that we might be in some kind of a housing bubble, somewhat similar to what happened in the U.S. But you've got your ear to the rail, or whatever you want to. The market here in Toronto. What's your assessment of the situation in Toronto?
I think right now we're taking a little bit of a breather. I think the media has played into, with all due respect.
Well, I think too the government is really trying to prevent a major deflation of any bubble.
That's right. That's right. And they changed the mortgage rules a little bit, so you need a little bit more money to get into a property. There's a lot of people who feel that we're at the precipice of going down. I doubt that very much, because we have a lot of people coming into Toronto. We have a lot of empty nesters, not only immigrants, but we have empty nesters who lived in the suburbs. They want to come into the city now. Many of the condominiums and single family houses we sell close to downtown, which is basically our market, are bought by people who are empty nesters. We've actually had people come to us and say, we're selling our house to get rid of the kids.
Well, that's a different. Well,
That's a different market.
Yes, it's certainly. But kids are staying home a lot longer now too, right?
That's right.
So they can save the money because the mortgage costs and everything else has gone up. Right. Or you just said to get in now it costs a little more money.
That's right.
Right. So kids are staying home longer. So that's very funny.
Yeah.
What a twist. That's interesting.
How about you're talking about people moving back downtown from the suburbs, and I just wonder, do you see any trend to there being? And maybe I'm wrong about this, but at one time, like a bungalow was a bungalow, whether it was downtown or whether it was out in Scarborough or in North York or Richmond Hill. But now, do you see any trends towards where the people want to be downtown more, like a higher demand for downtown?
Definitely. Well, look at all these condominiums.
Yeah.
These are mostly young people who want to be where the action is, and then the empty nesters coming back in. They don't want to necessarily be in a suburb where you have to get into your car to do anything.
Well, because that commute is getting worse and worse every day,
it
no
is.
matter where you're
Yes.
coming
We're not
from.
making any more roads.
Yeah.
No.
But you can remember Hugh and Sandra.
Yeah.
15 years ago, 10 years ago, traffic was a little bit lighter.
Well, when
a lot
you know,
lighter.
yeah. I mean, growing up, not me, but some people growing up in Rexdale. I mean, going downtown was just you get in your car and you go downtown.
Yeah.
Now that's an hour ordeal.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even at a low, even if it isn't rush hour.
That's true.
So the city, in a sense, is getting bigger.
We're
So
more condensed. So
Yeah.
Time-wise, it's getting
yeah, time-wise, yeah.
So what makes Bosley different? What makes what you do different than other real estate?
We are what's called a full-service company. We're an
Okay.
independent brokerage. We have longevity. The company was founded by the current owner's grandfather in 1928, which is a long
Wow.
time for a company.
I don't think they had carbon copies even then.
No, I don't think so.
Didn't need them.
What was the price of a house at that time? Wow.
That was the time. That's when you should have got into the market.
That's right. That's right. We're selling houses. The company was selling houses back in the 1930s in
Wow.
Rosedale for $18,000, and in East Toronto
That's a monthly TTC pass.
for
Yeah, pretty much.
$3,000, $2,500.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, but that goes to tell you, the people buying those then might have been complaining about the price.
Of course,
But-
of course.
So the only time to get in is right now,
That's right.
right?
Because in 10 years it's going to go up. It's going to have gone up. Most people get into what I guess we call it their starter home. Stay in it for about 5 years or so, 6 years. Meet someone, start a family, want to get out, want to get into a larger property, a house, and then the next wave come in and they want to get into the market, so they buy
starter.
that starter home.
So just you mentioned the full service aspect
Yes.
of
Yes.
Bosley, and I was on the website and I noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've got mortgage specialists there that can help people get the mortgage.
From the buying perspective, we help people get their finances in shape,
order, yeah,
in
okay.
order. We send them to the right specialist.
Wow.
We educate them to the market. We educate them and we tell them about home inspections. We tell them about insurance issues. We tell them about we advise them on value. We advise them on how to structure an offer.
Wow.
We help them with the negotiating. And our goal, acting for the buyer, is to make sure that buyer gets the best possible property at the best price for them. On the other side, when we act for the seller, we are looking to get the seller the most money at the most opportune time. And for the seller, we do everything from initially visiting the home, bringing in specialists, sometimes home stagers, which is quite popular now. Handymen, getting people ready, getting the house ready, depersonalizing it, because when you go to look at a property, you don't want to look at other people's photographs. You kind of want to be able to imagine yourself in it. And
Makes sense.
we advertise the property. We have it on a number of different websites. We hold public open houses. We create marketing pieces. We network. We have a very good reputation in the business. So when people see our sign on the lawn, they tend to feel that it's priced right, that it's going to show well. That in most cases, if there have been any issues with the house, we'll have addressed them, either by actually getting those things repaired, or we've addressed them in the asking price.
So I have a question. When you act as the buyer, you had said you're in the best interest of course, getting the best price and all that, and the seller the opposite. Have you ever had the issue where maybe this is not even legal, where you are representing the buyer and the seller at the same time?
Yes.
How does that work?
That's called multiple representation, and it's allowed under the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act.
Okay.
And it's more of a situation where we're facilitating the sale.
Okay.
If you, Sandra, were the buyer and you were the seller, Hugh, we would give you all the information available to help you make a decision without giving away any of your negotiating position, and the same for you. So you would decide what you want to put the property, or what the offer would be, and you would decide
Which one to buy?
what you would sell it for, and we would talk about what the optimum closing date is for the seller,
Okay.
and what Sandra would want as a
So
closing
it's
date.
it's not a big deal then. It's not a conflict.
No.
Okay. Okay. I didn't think that would be legal to
It's
do.
not a what?
A conflict because
No.
you're trying to represent both sides.
Right.
But you're given full disclosure, which I think
Yeah.
Absolutely.
probably addresses
Absolutely.
any conflict.
Whenever you sign with us, and most companies are supposed to do this, but whenever you sign with us, we detail all of the different types of representation: buyer representation, representation to sell the property, multiple representation, so that you're aware of everything.
Right. Okay.
And we find that works really well.
No,
You know, I
yeah,
could
would
see
think
that
so, no
being
kidding.
a good, even for a case of a person trying to sell their house without an agent. It might be a good idea to be, just because from personal experience, without an intermediary in that kind of negotiation transaction, there can be I've just seen so much trouble can arise where you've got the vendor dealing directly with the buyer.
That's why
and
we
just-
exist.
Yeah.
That's why we exist, because principals, the buyer and the seller, when they get in the same room, emotions get triggered,
Oh, boy.
things get said, things are misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most of the time, if you were buying for yourself directly from the seller or selling to a buyer, the transaction can go south pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
Off the rails.
Yeah.
Has that happened?
It almost
Well-
happened to someone I know.
Wow. Wow. That can be a disaster.
Most people who start to go and put their property on the market by themselves tend to, after a few weeks, realize that they're just not able to do it.
It's a much bigger endeavor than they thought,
huge.
right? Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And we're there to hold your hand all the way, Sandra.
And plus, you don't have that emotional involvement, right?
That's right.
And that makes all the difference too.
Yeah.
And how can you possibly know about things like inspections and stuff like that? How could you know that if you're selling privately?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
But-
that's because there's a lot of things to think about.
You could come and work with me. You're getting it down.
See, that's pretty good.
Okay, Keith. So now you guys your office that you're involved with is on
I
the
look after the
Danforth.
office on the Danforth in Riverdale.
Yeah. And
We have another office on Queen Street West, over by the Drake Hotel, as a matter of fact. And we have two offices at Midtown near Davisville and Yonge.
so that's all. So you're really kind of concentrated in the Toronto
Central.
Center.
Toronto
Yeah.
Center, yeah.
Yeah. So now, and you mentioned again that the one thing I saw on the website was that the philosophy, and I just want to mention this. Have fun and make money, of course, but
You're forgetting the other end of it.
which is
Have fun and make money, and if it's not fun, change it.
right. Okay.
So we like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we want this to be a pleasurable experience for not only the people that work in the company, but for our clients as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of clients, at our company, the management team regard our agents as our clients. I rarely speak to the public, but I'm with my agents all day. They get lots of support.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good philosophy too, because then you don't differentiate between the customer and the agent, right? And so you treat everybody the same, and that's a really good philosophy.
Well, plus
to
if
have.
people are having fun, I think that translates to a better experience for everybody
Yeah,
in the long
absolutely.
run,
Absolutely.
right?
And more productivity too, right? People tend to want to accomplish more.
Yeah. Okay.
We only hire people that fit in our culture. Because someone can make money doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to
Right.
be accepted at our company.
Absolutely.
So what makes the people different there then that you work with?
Career professionals,
Okay.
dedicated, very well educated. We have ongoing education all the time. They have great support from the management. They never feel as if they're isolated. I've got my phone turned off right now because of the interview, but normally, it might go off 2 or 3 times in the evening, and I answer right away. So the agents feel very supported. Any trends, anything that's happening in the market, anything that's happening with legislation, we have weekly meetings. We share that with the agents. The agents are very supportive of one another. No one locks their drawer or anything in our office. It's very, very supportive. And the senior agents support the younger ones.
Now,
It's a nice place to work.
just because you have the 4 different offices, does it really matter? Like, should people from the East End call your office, or people from the West End call the Drake?
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It really doesn't matter because
that's all close anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, I would prefer that they call my office.
Well, unless it's at like 11 o'clock at night.
Well, we have an answering service.
Well, what, I mean,
24/7, right? That's the
That's
other thing about real estate. It's a 24/7 business, isn't it?
it can be.
Can be, right?
Can be. Well, I don't know of many people who wake up in the middle of the night and say, "I've got to buy a property."
I gotta go show a house at 3 in the morning.
You know what? Hey, with people working shift work, and
That's true. When I was, I don't sell anymore. Being a manager, when I was in sales, I can remember driving home at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
After doing negotiating, going back and
Yeah.
forth and back and forth.
Absolutely.
And
You must remember that, Hugh.
Yeah, there was
a
some
lot
of
of
that.
a lot
Yeah.
of people went with couples too. A lot of couples became like real estate agent
Oh, yeah.
partners, and that was because when I talked to a few, because I've met a few people who are, it's because they have kids and because
Yeah.
the hours are so all over the place that they
Yeah.
really need to tag team.
And generally, as well, one member of the partnership of the team, of the couple, will bring certain strengths, which are augmented by the other person's
Yeah,
strengths.
yeah. So that works out really well. Plus, you can do a lot of stuff from home too, right? All the
Nowadays,
contracts
yes.
and everything. That's another change
Yeah.
you've probably seen over the years
Yep.
too, right?
Yeah.
Well, Keith, we're just about out of time here, but is there anything else you want to let people know about?
Call Bosley,
What's the phone number?
416-465-7527.
And what's the website
And
for
it can
people
be at
who want to
11
check
o'clock
it
at
out?
night.
That's right. It's bosleyrealestate.com. BOSLEY realestate.com. Thank you.
Great.
Hugh.
Okay. Keith, this has been great.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
to talk.
I think it
about
just
this.
kept you up later.
I think you might have.
So,
Thank you.
That's good.
it was great. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back with our next guest as Liquor Lunch continues here with the PBN from the Tula Lounge. We'll be right back.